Paris, I was crossing the Boulevard Saint Michael. It was during the last weeks I had decided that within a certain number of months I would achieve union with the psychic presence, the inner divine, and I no longer had any other thought, any other concern. I lived near the Luxembourg Gardens, and every evening I used to walk there, but always deeply absorbed within. There is a kind of intersection there, and it is not a place to cross when one is deeply absorbed within. Was not very sensible, and so I was like that. I was walking when I suddenly received a shock, as if I had received a blow, as if something had hit me, and I jumped back instinctively. And as soon as I had jumped back, a tramp went past. It was the tramp that I had felt a little more than arm's length. It had touched the aura of protection. It was very strong at that time. I was deeply immersed in occultism, and I knew how to keep it. The aura of protection had been hit, and that had literally thrown me backwards as if I had received a physical shock. And what insults from the driver! I jumped back just in time, and the tramp went by. Between the age of 18 and 20, I had attained a conscious and constant union with the divine presence, and I had done it all alone with absolutely nobody to help me, not even books, you understand. When I found one, there came to my hands a little letter, Vivekananda Raja Yoga. It seemed to me so wonderful a thing, you see, that someone could explain something to me. This made me gain in a few months what would have perhaps taken me years to do. I met a man. I was perhaps 21 then, I think either 20 or 21. I met a man who was an Indian who came from here, and he spoke to me about the Gita. There was a translation which, by the way, was quite bad, and he advised me to read it and gave me the key. His key, it was his key. He told me, read the Gita, this translation of the Gita, which is not up to much, but still that's the only one in French. At that time I wouldn't have been able to understand anything in any other language besides the English translations were as bad as I did not have. Sri Aurobindo had not yet written his. He said, read the Gita and take Krishna as the symbol of the immanent God, the inner Godhead. This was all that he told me. He said to me, read it with that, the knowledge that Krishna represents the immanent God in the Gita, the God who is within you. Well, in 1 month the whole work was done. I knew this a very long time ago, 50 years ago. There was that occultist who later gave me lessons in occultism. For 2 years his wife was a wonderful clairvoyant and absolutely remarkable capacity precisely of transmitting forces. They lived in Tlemcen. I was in Paris. I used to correspond with them. I had not yet met them at all. And then one day she sent me in a letter petals of the pomegranate flower, divine's love. At that time I had not given the meaning to the flower. She sent me petals of pomegranate flowers, telling me that these petals were bringing me her protection and force. Now at that time I used to wear my watch on a chain. Wristwatches were not known then, or there were very few, and there was also a small 18th century magnifying glass. It was quite small, as large as this gesture, and it had 2 lenses. You see, like all reading glasses, there were 2 lenses mounted on a small golden frame. and it was hanging from my chain. Now between the two glasses I put these petals, and I used to carry this about with me always because I wanted to keep it with me. You see, I trusted this lady and knew she had power. I wanted to keep this with me, and I always felt a kind of energy, warmth, confidence, force which came from that thing. I did not think about it, you see, but I felt it like that, and then one day suddenly felt the quite depleted, as though a support that there had gone. Something very unpleasant, I said. It is strange. What has happened? Nothing really unpleasant has happened to me. Why do I feel like this, so empty, emptied of energy? And in the evening, when I took up my watch and chain, I noticed that one of the small glasses had come off, and the petals were gone. There was not one petal left. Then I really knew that they carried a considerable charge of power, for I had felt the difference without even knowing the reason. I didn't know the reason, and yet it had made a considerable difference. So it was after this that I saw how one could use flowers by charging them with forces. They are extremely receptive. Thank you. Jai Sri Ma.